You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check the Jumbotron first, before attempting to eat a stack of Supreme nachos in one bite. Now you're just a meme that everyone shares on game day. Checking first is smart, so check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo. Shadow Show.
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 Shadowing it.
Shadowing it. I mean, the Shadow Show is going on right now while you're getting makeup, and that's the spirit of the Shadow Show. I just want you to know that we're on the air because you were yammering as if you didn't know that things had started around here.
I didn't.
And we've got a chaotic situation this morning because in an overcrowded Miami, there's been a number of accidents, and so a few people have not been able to get in. The pirate ship is in battered waters right now, and Jeremy, the entire time, is running in and out of the room in a panic, singing a song at the top of his lungs that no one else is singing with him.
That's right. Yeah, it's great. I'm really excited to get this one to you guys at some point, but that's kind of the environment here. Most mornings, I'm showing up after taking about an hour and 45 minutes to drive in. Like this morning, I left my house at 6:35. I got here at 8:25. And then I'm running back and forth between studios trying to sing songs. God Bless Football's happening in the other studio. I had to come into Studio A. I had to tell our director to stop testing audio because I needed to sing from several different distances from a microphone.
Yeah. So, that's the kind of professionalism he's bringing to work in the morning while you don't know that we're on air because you're yammering with Jess, the makeup artist.
I wouldn't call it a lack of professionalism. No one said, all right, we're on air in 3.
Well, they were saying that in my headset. You were wearing headsets as well.
No, he didn't. I don't think your headphones were on. He did do something very considerate this morning, though. He did laundry for everybody. Like, there's these blankets and jackets that people use because the studio fluctuates a little bit, but sometimes it's very cold. And Amin made the observation, like, no one's washed these things in several years.
Ever. Not all the human secretions that have been on all those things, but also Willow just going around rubbing her ass on everything. And you guys wrapping yourselves
I think that's a bit incriminating to Willow. She's not here to defend herself.
She's got a surrogate.
Jess had me jealous last night, and I have not said this of the Knicks in 15 years, but Jess got to experience one of the most joyous things, which is to be awoken by the double bang.
This West Coast trip is killing me.
At what age did you guys check out on West Coast games because you couldn't make it through regular season, a Tuesday night, 10:30 to 1:30, even if it means Bridges is going to hit a ridiculous game winner to beat Portland?
I think after I had a child. This is just West Coast trips where we're out.
It's Willow.
I mean, I also picked a terrible time to leave a bar 2 nights ago because the Panthers lost to the Bruins. I was at the hockey bar, and the very next game was the Pacers-Bucks. And I saw the Pacers were managing the end of the game. I'm like, all right, I'm going to leave. And I left right before the Halliburton 4-point play.
Oh,
It's just a miscalculation on that part. I don't know ball. It's accurate. I'm not an NBA fan. I'm a Miami Heat fan. It just is what it is. And if the Miami Heat aren't good, I'll say bad things about the sport that I won't watch, and it probably infuriates people that actually know ball. Yep. That being said, I'm 7 for my last 7 betting in the association without having watched a second of it.
Well, he still doesn't know what to do with Rudy Gobert.
Amin, help me out. Because, look, I'm ready to admit, I don't know ball anymore. I used to. I used to know a lot of ball. Now, don't know ball. Is Rudy Gobert good or bad?
He's good situationally. Or I should say, he's bad situation.
Thanks for clearing all that up.
That is the kind of expertise that you can get nowhere else. How did you not clear that up for him? Because what Mike says is strange. And at the crux of, like, can Denver beat Minnesota? Rudy Gobert stands in the way, except when the playoffs start and then the matchups make it so he can't play anymore.
Unless they match up against the greatest player maybe in the history of the game, and then he doesn't come off the court. He helps Minnesota a lot, as he helped Minnesota last night. So situationally bad, but situationally, if that is against a defending NBA champion with the best player maybe we've ever seen, situationally good. Very confused by Rudy Gobert.
Denver's not defending.
No, I mean last year when they eliminated them.
Okay.
I know, Ball, you don't.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Fun basketball night last night, and I came in today and I say to Jessica, what is the age that someone starts checking out on West Coast games during the regular season? Because whatever, you got to work in the morning, and it's hard sometimes on Tuesday night to stay up till 1 in the morning so that you could watch Bridges beat Portland at the buzzer with a bad shot, good shot, bad shot. Like, I don't love that shot, but it went in, and so in the middle of the night, the Knicks win, and this is the most interesting Knicks team there's been in 20 years, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like we're the third consecutive year of saying that.
Well, but it's gotten better.
Yeah,
each year it's gotten better.
So it's the most interesting Knicks team since last season.
Okay, but in the middle of the night, Mike Breen produces his 9th double bang, a record 9th double bang for Bridges, and the Knicks woke you up last night, Jessica. You can't make it through even a regular.
Well, Mike Breen woke me up.
with a bang.
I watched all of the Thunder Celtics game, which was a great game, hopefully we will talk about after this. But then, Knicks are on a West Coast road trip. Jalen Brunson's still out. They're going to reevaluate his ankle in a week. So Deuce McBride's been starting at the point, and they're playing Portland, who's not great, but they're not terrible either. And, West Coast game, 10 o'clock start. I fell asleep probably at 10:15 and woke up to the overtime double bang on that 3-point shot. And, man, was it exactly like that. So jarring.
Yeah, I mean, that's so. I mean, where are you on this? Because that was the less interesting game of the night. Because watching OKC go into Boston, for some reason, it's one of the rare regular season ones that feels like it matters. When you're watching it and you're like, no, Boston it matters to Boston to win this, and it's interesting that all they're doing is shooting all threes. And if they make more of them, they'll beat OKC. And if they take that many in every game, you're going to get the game totally distorted.
Yeah, 9 of 46 from 3. But they also got to the free throw line almost twice as much as Oklahoma City did. So I think from Boston's perspective, they're saying we took the shots we want, we got to the places we want, we just couldn't execute. And then also they couldn't stop Shea. And that's, the idea going into the game, there was no Jalen Williams for Oklahoma City, there was no Porzingis for Boston. So both of these teams were missing key pieces. But the game plan with the Thunder is get the ball out of Shea's hands and make one of these other guys prove it in terms of bringing it up and creating offense. And usually the other guy they're saying that of is Jalen Williams, who's an all-star this year for a good reason, but he's not out there last night. So now you're trying to play through Chet and Hartenstein and other guys are bringing the ball up, and it didn't really matter. And this is a very possible finals preview, Dan. We could be watching Thunder Celtics in, 3 months from now.
The existence of the Celtics is the only thing that makes people believe that Cleveland will not be in the finals. That Cleveland, are you still practicing your bang back there?
He's got a good bang.
Bang!
That's just, you got to do a double, though. It was a double bang last night.
Yes, well, you're red-faced. It's a nuclear shade of red that you are, and I would say, though, that you're going from your feet, and I feel you grabbing it from under the chair. And it's coming out of the right side of your mouth.
Bang!
Bang! You know what? There's a pain in Mike Breen's bangs, and he's nailed it. There's a pain in bang!
It's like strained a little bit.
Almost crying.
Bang!
Yeah.
Like your toes are digging into the ground.
That's going to get annoying. You got to be careful with that. All right. Use some judgment there. It's good, but it's also you pace yourself.
My heart's fluttering a little bit because like it's a little bit like I'm in shock still from waking up last night. So this is making me kind of go back into like the flutter zone.
This is the doctor with the hammer hitting your knee.
Exactly. I'm like ah.
Or perhaps choppers for a Vietnam vet.
She got PTSD. Dum 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 dum.
I mean, Mike checked back in with the NBA last night, but I ask you, which is the bigger story, just in terms of in the weeds in basketball and the places that you find more interesting, that the Knicks would win at the buzzer on that shot by Bridges, or that Bridges, a key piece, a key third piece, who a lot of capital was invested in. This guy has to be good for us to be championship good. He says before the game that his minutes are too high, and that Thibodeau, feeding into the narrative of Thibodeau, he'll run your knees into the ground, he'll run Derrick Rose's career into the ground, he'll play everybody too many minutes. Bridges feeds that, and it's an interesting messenger for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons is he leads the league in minutes, and he never misses a game. So if he's telling you, hey, off my body, I need some load management, even though I'm a guy who's out there every single time. Which is the bigger story, the dramatic one or the one that's going to create narrative around Thibodeau again?
Dan, do you know who Mikal Bridges hit that shot against?
I do not.
Okay, that's why you're asking that question. They played the Blazers. The Blazers, who have been playing a lot better. I'll give them great credit. I also shout out to Chauncey Billups, who coaches this team, and not Detroit, who's done a great job after a lot of people wrote him off. Having said all that, that pales in comparison to the Bridges comment, because Tibbs responded yesterday via James Edwards of The Athletic, quote, "We never had a conversation about it. The facts are the facts. Jalen is 20th or 21st in average minutes. Cat is below that. Your wings play more. They're matched up against primary players." This right here is the first fracture I have seen in about 2.5 years. In terms of all along, guys have been, whatever Tibbs says, they back him up. They back him up. They back him up. And now this is the first time we got a guy saying, I don't know, right? The original quote, this is according to Stefan Bondi of the New York Post. Sometimes it's not fun on the body. Our bench guys can come in and we don't need to play 48 minutes. It helps just keeping fresh bodies out there.
All right. Can I have though a macro conversation? Thibodeau is known, like there are very few coaches that are known for this. He's gonna run your dudes into the ground. Like he
plays his guys. And what he'll say, and what this is echoed by everybody from this coaching tree, right? Stan Van Gundy, Jeff Van Gundy, all these guys, right? Michael Malone is another one, where what they'll say is, yeah, I play my best players because you play to win the game.
In my lifetime in basketball, no one is more associated. I mean, it was Dusty Baker with arms in baseball, but my father refers to him as the butcher because he looks like a butcher. But a lot of people accuse him more than any other coach of he's going to wreck your knees because you're just going to play a ton of minutes. Like that's a reputational thing. And now this part was the interesting part to me. New York fell in love with that team the last couple of years, and it's heart and it's grit and now it's Cat, and it's what we've got to reduce the minutes. And Bridges goes for a bunch of picks, and now he's talking about minutes. Do you
understand? Hart's still there, by the way. Thank God.
Yeah, but they fell in love.
Britt's gone. He's in Minnesota now. Dante.
They fell in love with Hartenstein, and then he's gone, and all the things Hartenstein represented. And now this team is something different. It's got more talent, more expectations, but it's harder to love if it's going to become between about what Thibodeau used to coach up and now what's objectionable to the new guy.
So this is the fun part of this, right, is Tibbs rightly states, hey, my main guys are playing less average minutes than a lot of the other stars in the league. But when you start looking at combinations, Dan, that's where it gets interesting. For example, the most played lineup in the NBA this season, number one, are the Knicks' Karl Anthony Towns, Brunson, Bridges, Hart, Anunoby. 885 minutes played. The next highest one are the Timberwolves, Conley, Gobert, Randall, Edwards, McDaniels, 551. That's more than 300 more minutes. And then number 3 is Sacramento at 431 with their lineup, and then Houston 422. So you see it's like there's a gap, a massive gap. The gap between 2 and 1 in and of itself would be in the top 10. Like those 300 plus minutes would be top 10 in lineups played if it were a lineup itself.
Bridges is such an interesting messenger, don't you think? I mean, when the voice on that is, no, I play more minutes than anybody, and I play every single game. Like, and nobody in the league does that. And I mean, when Embiid's body breaks down in Philadelphia, when all of these guys know that their economies, and in New York, you've now got the economy built around 3 stars, and the team, they fell in love with Brunson and grit and all those things. Brunson took a discount, all the things you love. But the bodies, like, they're playing a lot of minutes, and I want to know what you do with the messenger.
Well, I think it's interesting because another guy who said the opposite, not now, I believe it was last season, was Josh Hart. Josh Hart actually leads not only the team in minutes, the league in minutes played. Josh Hart not only leads the league in minutes played, but plays a lot of out-of-position basketball. He's playing against power forwards and sometimes centers, right? So the guy playing the hardest minutes in the league is also playing the most minutes in the league. And last year, he was supportive of all of this. There is something to me. It's like, oh, the new guy came in and said, wait, what are we doing here? Versus the guys who had been there who are kind of entrenched in that mentality. I just, it's interesting to me. I don't know if it means anything that Mikal Bridges is the messenger, or maybe we're all taking a quote out of context, because that could happen too, where he's being asked specifically about something and part of his answer does say those words, but then if you extrapolate just those words, it sounds like he's complaining when he's really not.
I appreciate, especially with Amin and all the love that the association is getting. Bang! But are you guys not aware that this is March? This is March, and you guys were watching the pros when Cal and Stanford played an ACC tournament men's basketball game in Charlotte.
Let me tell you something.
How could you watch anything else?
Mike, we did this yesterday where we talked about Sissoko for Cal fasting, and Boeheim had some kind of insensitive remarks or whatever. And it took me legit like a strong 40 minutes to figure out, why is Boeheim calling a Cal game? What is this ACC network logo pop? I could not put 2 and 2 together.
It is the most ridiculous in basketball, because in college football you get used to cross-country trips. Like Miami-Cal being a conference game is weird, but the notion of Miami playing Cal isn't all that weird. An ACC conference tournament in ACC country with Cal and Stanford, I was locked in.
I mean, we literally just had USC and UCLA play for the Big Ten championship on Sunday in Indiana.
It's incredible.
It's absurd.
But
I was locked in on Indiana last night as well, as 2 sub-500 basketball teams went to double OT on Peacock, locked in on the cock, was watching USC Rutgers. Woof!
Shout out to the cock.
I liked his better. Locked in on the cock, or that's better.
Keep it locked on the cock.
Okay, you're doing something here. I've got to tell you.
That one was just loud.
Well, it's not just loud.
Your microphones picked that up. I didn't get the signal that the bang was coming, so all the audience probably heard was bat.
The way that he does it, though, you don't understand. It's like he's stomping on the ground, and there's a little Popeye in it, a lot of lumberjack thick. And the Breen is a bit of a statue. Breen is a statuesque broadcaster. His bang is all pipes. It's all pipes. Yours, it feels like it's got rage instead of broadcasting range.
Bang!
There
you go.
That was
got
good.
it back now.
That was good.
The pain has to be a part of it.
Bang!
Yeah,
There you go. That's your do-re-mi right there.
Yeah, you can't disassociate from the pain. You got to be there. But Mike, I have a suggestion, and Jess, I want you to weigh in on this as well. We have 40 teams in the Big Ten. We have Hawaii in the ACC. Like, let's change these names. Why are we married to these names?
The IP.
Well, I mean, the Pac-10,
The
8,
logo.
12.
It was a Pac-12 with 2 teams in it.
And then it was before that was the Pac-10. Before that was the Pac-8. Like,
Well,
what?
I have good news for you, Amin. In 5 years, when it only costs $75 million to leave the ACC, there probably will be 2 differently named conferences that all the teams are in.
Provided we make it 5 years.
That's a good point.
So what is happening throughout the sport? I ask you this because this was curious last night. Coleman Hawkins, this was the most expensive player in the portal. After Kansas loses here, he appears broken, and a lot of people are talking about the pressures of money with this clip. As you hear, this seems a little early for this kind of the pressure hasn't yet ratcheted up to where it might be. But when you throw money into the equation and when you make them professionals, some of this stuff lands hard on kids, kids maturing into expectations.
These guys haven't experienced some of the things I've experienced. And, I really wanted to come in and impact the program. Man, I'm sorry for crying, but it hurts, but I really wanted to come in and impact the program, and some of the stuff, the outcome, obviously wasn't what we wanted, but if someone asked me if I regret coming here, I tell them, I don't regret meeting my team, the coaching staff, the people I met, and my heart just breaks for them because, like I said, they just haven't experienced some of the things I experienced in my career. But same thing for the fans, because I feel like I let a lot of people down. And I feel like I did a poor job of letting people talk about me and affect my play. And it was evident all year, and I wish I could just go back and block out everything, not for myself, but for the team, so we could have had a more successful year. But, I mean, this is a learning lesson for me, and I wish the best for the future of this program.
Brutally honest. Too honest.
Yeah, you don't have to. Kid, where's the PR person? Where's, you don't have to spill your guts about.
Oh, we're not going to do this.
No, I'm not blaming the kid. I'm blaming the PR person. You got to step in.
To protect him from himself.
Yeah, man.
I kind of get where he's coming from. But how could you watch that clip? I mean, I guess you could watch that clip and think, where's PR? But empathy is all I felt. That's really, bang.
Yeah, I did not immediately go to where is PR. When I said brutally honest, too honest, is he's sharing his vulnerability with the same people who are making him vulnerable, and so the exchange is an unpleasant one when it comes with expectations, and he's spilling his guts on, I care so much about this, and I feel like I've let everyone down.
It's an interesting last 5 minutes that we've had on this show, because all this stuff is born out of NIL and conference realignment and the open awareness of what the business of college sports is, what it was, and now that we've pulled the curtain back, you have crazy conference realignment matchups of Cal, Sanford, and Charlotte. You have highly paid college athletes saying that the criticism got to him because, he's young. You go to college to prepare for your professional life, and that's understandable that he's having a difficult time with that. For me, it brings a lot of interesting scenarios to the table that we've never talked about, but the college athletic story that I want to talk about most was in college baseball. Did you guys see, I'm sure you guys were all locked into Kansas, Minnesota in baseball.
Oh, man, couldn't keep my eyes off it.
You know where that game was played?
Yeah.
In the Minnesota Vikings cavernous football stadium, the brand new stadium that Minnesota has built for itself. There was a college baseball game between Kansas and Minnesota. No one was there. And Kansas went
watch on TV.
back to back to back.
Oh, I did see
to
this.
back
Yeah.
to back home runs.
I did.
Bang.
Yes. Yes. 5 of them. Five bangs.
5
Bang! Bang! Bang!
5 pings off the bat, rattling through an empty football stadium. I don't know who's paying for this. How does this make sense? Why are we doing this? Who asked for this?
You got to throw one high and in after the 4th home run.
Oh, yeah, at that point.
You cannot allow a fifth home run in that spot. I mean, we all agree. We all agree on this. Look, after the fourth
Some
one,
people
no.
would say after the second.
Right. So I'm making it a very liberal thing here. After the fourth one, you cannot throw a fastball. Yeah. You cannot throw anything in the strike zone. That's ridiculous. It's a totally empty stadium. So the only sound you're hearing in the stadium is ping, 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 ping. There's legitimately no one there.
No one is there. There isn't, like, there's a smattering of applause for, like, the fifth consecutive home run that's going on.
You know who hit the third one, right? Craig Counsell's son.
I knew it was going to be someone's son. I had a feeling.
But you didn't express it.
Well, because I would let her. She did the right amount of pregnant pause before she delivered the line. Dan, I have in front of me a top five three-man lineups by minutes played in the NBA this season.
That's what you've been working on while this other one is just going bang, bang, bang all over the place?
Bang!
Professionalism. So, there are no OLIs. Number 5, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. Number 4, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Jalen Brunson. Number 3, Karl Towns, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. Number 2, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Brunson. And the number 1 most played three-man rotation in the entire NBA. Bam Adebayo. No, psych. It's Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Brunson. Had to go in there for a second.
Okay, so what is the point? The larger point that you made so artfully there is?
They play a lot.
Right. And when they get to the playoffs and lose to Cleveland, people will say it's because the tires fell off of the thing.
I don't think that's why. I don't think that's why they'll lose to Cleveland. They're just not. Well, what?
They won't lose to Cleveland.
They'll beat Cleveland?
They won't see Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Well, you guys have them play Cleveland?
What are you doing? I don't think they'll lose in the playoffs because they play a lot of minutes in the regular season. I think they're just not a fully there team yet.
You know who they play in the first round projected?
No.
Detroit basketball. Oh, that would be so funny. If Cade Cunningham walks into Madison Square Garden and says, "It's mi casa."
I've not seen this, Amin. Laugh at the Knicks, Amin, has
been around for a long time.
No. I have not. Wait a minute. You're predicting now that this Knicks team, that it's going to fall apart and it's not going to feel the way the last 2 seasons were feel good at the end. You're predicting that this team is going to disappoint?
Well, I don't think they're going to disappoint because I think they're achieving exactly what they're supposed to achieve. But the reality is, they're almost certainly going to be the 3 seed. Boston is certainly going to be the 2 seed. So New York sees probably Detroit, maybe Indiana, maybe Milwaukee in the first round. All 3 of those teams have given them problems. And then if you beat them, then you get to see the Boston Celtics, who have ransacked them, right? They have not even looked close to competitive with Boston. It's going to feel, for Knicks fans, way more disappointing. Last year, gritty 7-game series loss to the Pacers, right? The year before that, gritty loss to the Heat, right? Like, clawing and all that. This one is going to feel like, we got smacked around. It wasn't even close.
After they made some major moves in the offseason, which is why enjoy the regular season and the double bangs while you can have them.
And Jessica brings up a great point, right? The major moves, of which the guy who's complaining about playing too much is the guy they gave up 5 first-round picks for, right? And that's why when everyone's like, the power of friendship, and these guys all went to Villanova, it's the boys back together again. You don't overpay for a Corolla. It's a great car. It's reliable. It's got great gas efficiency. It is going to last forever. The parts, if it breaks down, are relatively cheap. But you don't pay $100,000 for it, even if you know it has gold bricks in the back.
How much aluminum's in it? Just saying we're headed that. It's a tariff joke. It's a tariff joke.
It's
a tariff joke.
Thanks, Mike.
Bang! I can't do it the same way.
Okay.
That was like a ghost.
No, that was like a
bang.
Went off.
Nosferatu.
That was just it was a good spot for a bang.
Of the 2
ghost
games,
hit a 3-pointer.
I was hoping Chris would meet me there, guys. He's saying one thing.
All right, I know I got to do this ad read, but hold on. Let me reapply. Did you hear that? Yep, that's my new favorite lip gloss from NYX Cosmetics. Now I'm ready to talk to you. I've been a huge fan of NYX Cosmetics for many years now. In fact, I use their Thick It, Stick It brow gel every single day. So you can imagine my excitement when we recently received a special delivery to the Batard studios from our friends over at NYX Cosmetics. And there it was. When I opened the box, glowing, I heard the angels sing, ah. It's their latest lip gloss fat oil lip drip. It's NYX Cosmetics' first lip oil of its kind. This creamy lip oil will have your lips dripping with fat perks. You get all the shine of a lip gloss and none of the stickiness while experiencing 12-hour hydration. I'm usually a matte lip gloss kind of gal. My normal go-to is NYX Cosmetics lip gloss, the Lingerie XXL. But after applying the status update shade, I have found my new go-to lip gloss. Fat Oil Lip Drip has high shine finish with comfortable wear and none of the sticky texture. A lip product that's hydrating, non-sticky, and only $9? Now that's a win. Try Fat Oil Lip Drip from NYX Professional Makeup. Available in 14 universally flattering shades. Find your perfect Fat Oil Lip Drip. Shop now at nyxcosmetics.com or a retailer near you.
If you're a pet parent like me, you know about Chewy. When they say they have everything you need to keep your pet healthy and happy, they're not messing around. Oh, look at this good boy and good girl over here taking an early morning siesta after their breakfast with the food we got from Chewy. Hassle-free, with auto-ship. To keep Dopey happy, Chewy offers over 100,000 products from brands my pets love. At prices I love too. Foods, treats, toys, beds, you name it, they've got it. To keep Izzy healthy, Chewy's got me covered with pet prescriptions, insurance, telehealth vet visits, and even vet clinics rolling out nationwide. My favorite feature? Auto ship. I never run out of essentials like food or litter. And I can update or cancel anytime, so no guilt trips from Dopey or Izzy. And everything ships right to your door in just 1 to 2 days. Oh, and Chewy isn't just for dogs and cats. They've got birds, fish, reptiles, and more covered too. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. Right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewy.com/Dan. That's chewy.com/Dan to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewy.com/DAN. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Mattel, Heinz, or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the business behind the business, making and selling, and for shoppers, buying. Simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. No one does selling better than Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Heinz uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Batard, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Batard to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Batard.
Don Le Batard.
Always good to see everybody, despite the fact that everyone appears to hate me.
Stugotz.
Yeah,
I love you, Woody.
But that's on you.
I don't know you that well.
They said that you both suck ass and were bitten in the ass. So those are both things that you were accused of during this.
Human
rough day for my
centipede type
ass.
of situation.
Yes.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Of the two games, Jessica, the first one was more interesting to you, but your boyfriend is very enthused. Lehman is very enthused about the Knicks, and so you're getting roped into more Knicks games than you'd care to be roped into, correct?
Yes, one more Knicks game is one too many. No, I've been on the Knicks bandwagon for the last couple of years just because the Bulls are disappointing. So at least it's something.
What else you got?
At least it's something in the NBA for me to cheer on. But otherwise, it's been a very toxic week in our house. You have Aaron Rodgers choosing supposedly between the Giants and the Steelers. Neither of us want him. It's very, very toxic. Every time there's an update, we read it to each other like it's an obituary.
Adam Schefter is so pissy right now at Aaron Rodgers. He's so mad at him.
I mean, it's what day is it? Thursday? It's Thursday, and all it's like we get a weird picture of him on the beach. Apparently, he's just
the Affleck
Affleck picture
with the blanket.
Well, and also still not trusting Bluetooth.
But by the way, the blanket that had he given to me, I would have laundered like the other blankets in here.
No, that's sweet of you. We get a weird picture of him on the beach. Apparently, he's like considering retirement again, or the Giants or the Steelers. And now Russell Wilson's visiting with the Browns, which tells me that he's not happy and the Steelers aren't happy with that, which we kind of already knew. Kenny Pickett got traded to the Browns, which is also very funny because it may be the second year in a row that Kenny Pickett's starting job in the NFL gets usurped by Russell Wilson. So that's a storyline to look out for. But everyone, it's like musical chairs right now, and no one really wants Aaron Rodgers to sit on their chair, at least not for the amount of money that I think he wants. But you may end up at some point without a quarterback to sit in your chair because there's very few starting quarterbacks left out there.
I don't know where Russell Wilson goes if Aaron Rodgers ends up in Pittsburgh. And I do like to think of the best Steeler offense I have seen most recently does have Ben Roethlisberger doing nothing but throwing 5-yard slants, running the football, playing defense, just holding the football. Those are the best Steeler teams. And if he's just going to throw slants to DK Metcalf 5 yards at a time with limited offense ball, like you can feel it fitting. But I didn't realize we had reached the blanket on the beach contemplating photos stage of the Aaron Rodgers attention free agents. I'm here. I'm available.
Yeah, we've been arguing like all week in our house. Like I've been saying like, well, I mean, if he goes to the Giants, he doesn't have to move. He can stay in the same house he's been living in, and he doesn't have to change his commute. And then Lee's like, yeah, but if he goes to Pittsburgh, he can pass to DK Metcalf. I'm like, but Malik Neighbors, and we've just been arguing back and forth. Like, you take him. No, you take him.
You guys are advocating. Like, it's like fantasy football. He's much better for your team anyway. Look at your squad. You need that guy. Dan, you talk about contemplating on the beach with a blanket wrapped around you. That was Jeremy Taché last night. We're at Heat Clippers. And just despondent, the sadness shrouding that place right now. The Heat look directionless. And then midway through, like the third quarter, I looked at Jeremy and I said, you know what the crazy thing is? As bad as everything has been, feels like one of the darkest times in Heat history. There is a strong chance they end up winning the division.
It's really amazing. It's one of the most remarkable. I thought that the chase for the 10 seed in the Eastern Conference was the most interesting chase. No, it's the chase for that division. Because you have the Heat with a real possibility, a team that's lost several games in a row, that looks despondent, that can't beat anybody good and can't beat anybody bad, and yet they might very well win that division and hang a banner for a Southeast Division championship.
I think they kind of need to win a game here.
I mean, the last three. So they lose at home against Chicago. They lose at home against Charlotte. And then they lose last night. A Bogdanovich tore him up. A Bogdanovich.
Zubats. Oh, my God.
Oh, my. He was one. If you only watched basketball for the first time last night, you would think Zubats is one of the greatest centers that's ever played the game of basketball.
Dan? Kel'el Ware didn't start the second half. Like midway through the game.
We don't have an answer for this guy?
No, because it was so clear. I told Jeremy, I said, years from now, Kel'el Ware might be like a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year and a 7-time All-Star, whatever. And he's going to think back at, man, there was this dude who played in the league named Ivica Zubats. He gave me work. Every possible way you could think of. Spin moves and jump hooks and dunks and lobs and everything. And Kel'el Ware looked terrified, like he was playing against Shaq. He's like, I don't know what to do.
If I may just pick your brain real quick, I'm happy. I think Jordan Miller is the most underrated basketball player in the history of Miami men's basketball. Mm-hmm. He was so important to their run, and it's not surprising at all that he's found himself in the NBA after working hard at his game. It was a nice little homecoming with Larinaga. He's going to be in the league for a while.
I mean, I think he's got a chance to hang around. But by the way, Mike, last night was the first time I ever seen Jim Larinaga in person. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's tall.
He's a big guy. His son's not that big. I was staggered at how large a man.
Yes, he's a crane of a man.
It's like every other person down here. You walk into the studio and you're like, Jesus Christ, Dan Batard is 6'5".
We have all the tall Hispanics, including Larinaga.
Boo.
Oh no, that was a bridge too far.
Yes. Yes, that's where the bridge blows up.
I know the association's exciting, but it actually is kind of a sports equinox for niche sports. You got Indian Wells going on. You've got the players, Chris, The players. Bang. The players. And you have Champions League going on at the same time.
And you've got F1 returning, and
Christopher Bell's won 3 straight races.
Can I, because you're in here, I want to ask you a soccer question. We had a PK between PSG and Liverpool the other day, and one of the guys who missed for Liverpool was a guy who had never...
Hang on, Jeremy, what is this?
This was not last night. I don't know why we're doing that.
That's me feeling good about a good walk-off interview. That's a fist pump for myself.
That's incredible.
It's a fist pump for the Heat winning the other night?
No, that's a Jeremy, like, man, I killed it there.
Yeah.
Type of fist pump.
I'm allowed to feel good about myself. Who did this?
How
Who took this
grainy-
video? Why does this exist?
It's grainy.
I am sweating right now. Why did we do this?
Way to go, Jeremy.
480p.
Who did this to Jeremy?
Who did this to me?
This seems invasive. This seems like this shouldn't be.
I'm fist pumping to myself, Chris.
So wait.
I'm excited.
No, he's fist
You know what?
pumping to
It's
Pat
a difficult
Riley.
job.
I just delivered the
They're now
news.
broadcasting these interviews throughout the arena. Man,
This is
Journalism.
Sorkin thinks this is convoluted.
you guys thought that I would be most embarrassed by that time I was caught licking salt and vinegar chips off of my finger. It's not. It's this. And I can't believe everyone in the studio
This is
betrayed me this
unfair.
way.
Okay,
just
look,
delivered the news.
I'm so sorry.
I hate
Do you
you guys.
routinely do this?
Now this
No,
is look,
it felt good, guys. I don't even know.
Don't
I
shame
don't know.
him about this.
No, I'm not shaming him. I'm just curious.
He
So
feels
here's the
good about
reality.
himself after he's done something well.
Yeah, I did a good job in an
No,
interview.
he's cheering on the Heat because he's a Jeremy the Homer, and a fan actually sent this video, Jer Bear. This was on League Pass.
This is incredible.
It's always watching.
on league.
But Jeremy, this is my thing. I haven't. I don't believe I've fist pumped ever in my life earnestly.
I played baseball. I was a pitcher. It was an
That
earnest.
is.
That's what that was.
You just
You're
retired
right.
the side. Or you just nailed the putt on the
exactly
island
what it
green.
is.
He did.
Yeah.
He retired the side, but on a strikeout, and I
Yeah.
think it was a
Two
called,
seam on the outside
I think
corner.
It was
Jason Day just salvaged par.
It was a called strike 3 too.
That's right.
Yes, a check swing.
He's walking back to the
Guys, I'm a
dugout.
competitor. I might not
walking
play
back.
it here, all right? You guys might not see it because I'm the song and dance man over here. But at the end of the day, I'm more competitive than probably anybody in this studio.
Surprised you
Top
didn't
of the
hop
fifth.
over the line.
That's not true.
Little
I'm more
jump.
competitive than you.
I
I
don't
do
think that's
think
true. I'm more
Jessica
competitive.
might
I'll
be
beat
more
your ass right now,
competitive.
I will not lose a
I think-
competitive competition.
yeah.
The only
Fight me.
person I could picture doing that other than Jeremy is Witty after like a soccer broadcast. Just a little.
Well,
No.
I don't. Wait, no. Witty's too cardboard professional, my
repressed.
friend.
Yeah.
No. Witty would do that at home when no one is looking.
No, he wouldn't.
Witty would like tell himself, "Well done."
Yes, that's what would happen. That's his version.
Well done, lad.
Well done.
Well done, lad.
Well done, fancy lad.
Well done, old chap.
Or he might clap a head above his head.
All right. Witty.
He was talking to me at a bar. It's one thing if he's on a soccer broadcast, but he's like, oh, yeah, I had a good time at the weekend.
I hate when he says
At the
that.
weekend? Who are you talking
I
to?
heard him on the radio saying that the other day. I texted him. I said, "I hate you."
Who are you talking to?
I like to think of Witty as never going to bars, only pubs.
It had to be surreal for him yesterday to be at the center of a place where
Oh, he's here.
Matter of fact, he did ask for ale.
A pint.
Witty is sitting next to Ray Hudson, and there is confusion and weirdness at the top of the sport, and he handled it with grace. That can be a nightmare for people. The confusion of how are we stopping penalty kicks for a moment and seeing if somebody did or didn't double touch a ball, and then we get into rule parsing. So Wittyngham was in the middle of that. Do we have the audio of some of the confusion around this play, because Wittyngham just popped up here on the screen, and I believe that he would look down on Jeremy fist pumping himself after a good interview. Do I have it wrong, Witty?
Yes, you do have it wrong, because that was me yesterday for about 3 hours. From the end of the broadcast to about, I would say, midway through my flight home back to Connecticut, I was either actually fist pumping or watching the video over and over again going, nailed it. Great job. Good job, lad.
Good job, lad.
Good job, lad.
All right, well, take us through it then, because it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird to have everyone just milling about waiting for a result, and I know people in the sport are frustrated with all of the instant replay stuff.
Yeah, and it's also one of those where I think there's a real difference between how American sports are administered and how European football is administered, because there is no announcement. There's no announcement. There's no, after further review, our call is whatever. There is no, even the referee didn't do the little TV screen VAR thing yesterday. It was just, we came back from a replay, and he points at both of his legs and then does the wave away thing. And I'm supposed to know what that means, having not been on site, having not seen any of the incident. We're actually in replay while we kind of are hearing some boos. And so I was trying to remember almost what are the moments that's happened before. I remember covering a Europa League game last year where there was a free kick and the ball hit the crossbar, and hit the crossbar so hard that it came back to the original taker. And he played it from there. The team scored a goal, and it got ruled out because that is a double kick. You're not allowed to do that, even from a free kick. And so I actually went and read the law on double kicking, and that is how I remembered that for that moment. And it's one of those where you don't really have a ton of information. You don't have a rules expert in your ear, and you got to figure out in real time the information that the viewer will need to know to process the information. Because if I don't explain that rule, or if I don't say this is what they're looking at, and all of a sudden the referee's doing this, that's really confusing for the audience. And I actually talked to a few friends yesterday that were watching the game on mute and didn't know what was going on and still don't really know what happened. Well, and so it was really gratifying to sort of know in the moment and be able to deliver that to the audience.
You did very well. It was still mad confusing because VAR over the last few years, a lot of people have claimed it's ruined the game because it's slowed it down, it's taken away the emotion of it. If there were ever an instance where you slow the game down to make sure you got the call right, it's in PKs in a knockout fixture in the Champions League. But that's not what happened. There was zero communication. It was very odd. The only reason that I knew that this was even possible because when it happened live, I was just impressed that Alvarez got it in because he slipped. And this is not the spirit of the rule when it comes to the double touch. He slipped. He barely grazed it. If he did, the replays were not conclusive. You guys did so well. I mean, Hudson's been around the block, and even he was kind of stunned at what happened. We have audio of you guys reacting to it real time. I think when you consider the scenario, you guys handled this about as well as you possibly could.
That would be a double touch.
Thought he just slipped.
Let's see. Doesn't really look like it there.
Not from that angle.
And I think the referee is saying that it is a double kick. It won't count.
Are your producers screaming in your headphones? I'm sure you're looking for all the information. Yeah. And also, Witty, if you could tell us what happened there, but also what happened afterwards, because there were 4 different reports that I saw as to how they came to this ruling, and ultimately the final result is just trust us, bro, which is kind of odd. So walk us through like the aftermath and what's going on in your headphones.
Well, to be fair, my producer didn't say much to me. It was only after the game where we signed off. He counts me back to the studio. I tossed back to the studio, and the first thing he said was, "Man, I thought you were wrong about that." And I was really scared in real time that you got that wrong. But it was definitely almost like a gamble. It's one of those where you say it and you're wondering why everyone's standing around. I think that's the biggest thing. And to be fair, having watched the video like 100 times now, the Real Madrid players, Jude Bellingham most prominently, is standing there going, dos tocadas, which is Spanish for 2 touches. And so he was standing there kind of saying they had seen that. And I was trying to piece it all together, and realistically, I was just waiting to see, because again, we don't have the announcements. I was just waiting to see what the announcement, what the signal was going to be. And the referee kind of points to both of his legs and go, double touch, wave away, and you're kind of context clue guessing. And for me, the sort of moment of vindication was, so immediately Real Madrid take their 3rd penalty, which was converted by Federico Valverde, and the next... So they show the replay, they come out of it, and they do that little score bug thing where it has the green squares and the red squares that show converted or not converted. And when the red square came up for the second Atleti take, I was like, okay, I got it right, and we're moving on. Now, to answer your second question about what happens after the game, it was kind of theorized that maybe they have semi-automated offside technology, and it determines kick points, meaning there's some kind of way that they figure out when and where the ball was touched. And so they could use that technology maybe to figure it out. But according to the people that were on the ground, according to UEFA, they only determined that it was a double touch from the video. And like you said, Mike, it was incredibly quick to determine something that has been analyzed so granularly since. It was Brazilian TV actually that found this one angle, and they kept back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you finally see that first initial touch where he gets it, and then he kicks it onto that first leg that went slipping. So yeah, it's remarkable that they determined it so quickly, and then they moved on so quickly. It wasn't like, oh, the Atleti crowd or the Atleti players or the manager started arguing. It was just straight on to the third take, and you're kind of going, I hope I got this right.
Witty, when you think about these kind of situations where there isn't, as you said, the guy's not mic'd up, there isn't a big announcement, is there a particular reason for that, or is this just the relative European lack of sophistication towards the customer experience, the way our sports here are so geared to being customer engaging, and they're over there like, hey, if you didn't figure it out, then you don't watch the sport enough?
Yeah, I really think that it is just sort of pig-headedness in my mind. In Major League Soccer, they brought in referee announcements starting last year. MLS would be kind of the league that's most progressive in this respect, given that it is kind of an American cultural tradition for the referees to be mic'd. So that started last year, and I think it works really well. It certainly helps me from a broadcasting point of view, because I can just say, and now the referee will give his decision, and he actually comes on and gives it, as opposed to you do this thing, the VAR screen, and then sometimes when they say it's not a foul, the referee will do this, which is raise his right hand from bottom to top, and you're kind of like, well, what does that mean? And that means play on. That is kind of the referee signal for play on. But you have to be really in the weeds to know what that means. If you're a TV viewer, you don't know what that means.
I thought play on was 2 on.
Enough of this glorification of all of this. Ray Hudson carried you with a sound. We're talking about, oh, what a majestic Wittyngham able to handle the confusion when Ray Hudson's the star of this clip.
He always is the star.
Yes, he's always the star, and you have to be.
The ghost is back.
You sound and look like a pilot. You sound and look like a helicopter pilot. I would trust you. And I would trust that flight, because you handled that in times of crisis, and you look over and you're with Ray Hudson, and that's as good as your career gets, correct?
Totally. I mean, this game, which even independent of all the controversy, if I may bring back an old...
dude, you're from Broward.
God. Oh, for the love of God.
Yeah, I mean, in the midst of all that controversy, to be able
Wittyngham is a fancy lad.
To figure that out. I mean, but even independent of all that, it's a brilliant game. It's one of those that's sort of rich in story. It's the two Madrid teams. They played in the Champions League 4 times over, I want to say, 6 years, and Atleti lost all of them. They've never beaten Real Madrid in the European Cup. They've never won the European Cup, and Real Madrid have won it 15 times. So it's one of those where it's a big sort of narrative game where can Atleti finally do it? They score in the first 30 seconds of the game. They're grinding it out. They're defending the entire time. They go to penalties and think, oh, maybe we can finally win this lottery. And instead of actually finally winning it, they have a double kick, which is the most absurd, crazy way for that to have happened.
Was that a slurp?
That was a slurp.
That was a slurp?
That was an intake of breath.
Wow, after like one of your finest professional moments.
That was a slurp. Really, a slurp. And actually,
that was an intake of breath.
Boy, let me tell you something. Witty, I know what a slurp sounds like, and that was a slurp.
We all.
Am I eating something? I'm not eating anything.
We'll isolate the slurp and embarrass you. Do our best to make sure you never call a World Cup game. And ultimately, like, Atletico Madrid did get another opportunity to stay in that game. Real Madrid did miss a PK, so it's going to be remembered for that. But one thing that I wanted to ask you about was the PK that Vinny took after Mbappe made a move that only Mbappe could make. Just makes something out of nothing, takes on 2 defenders that both have an angle on him, cuts it inside, forces the PK. How does Mbappe not take that? Instead, they go to Vinny Jr., who's been subjected to so much racial abuse, particularly in that stadium. The moment seems huge. The crowd is going nuts. He's getting yelled at all sorts of obscenities, I can only imagine, given the history. And he sails it. What was the decision there to go with Vinny?
Well, all 3 of those guys, Vinny Jr., Mbappe, and Jude Bellingham, can all take penalties. And so Vinny actually has a good record over penalties in his career and in this season. I think he's 2 for 2 this season and something like 17 for 20, don't quote me on that, over the course of his career. So he's a good penalty taker. And earlier in the season, when Mbappe was really struggling to integrate into this Real Madrid team, when he was the big signing and everyone was talking about Mbappe and the fact that he wasn't really fitting in, he was kind of fitting out, he missed a couple of big penalties earlier in the season. And he has had these sort of up and down moments. I agree with you. Generally, the player who wins the penalty in that spot should generally take it. But Vinny has a good record, and I'm not surprised that he took it. For me, the interesting thing that happened later in the game was basically Ancelotti, the manager, took him off because they didn't want to put him in a spot to have to take a penalty late in the game. They took him off in the 115th minute of the game with only 5 minutes to go. You're only really making subs at that point for the penalty shootout. And he basically said, I'm not putting you under that spotlight. If someone else misses and we go out, that's fine. I'm not having you be the guy that misses 2 penalties in one game when we go out of the Champions League. And it actually is really good management. And in some ways, I think that would have been a bigger story if not for the fact that Atleti had this crazy situation happen to them.
Witty, so a couple of days ago, PSG versus Liverpool. Liverpool had a guy, Curtis Jones, miss his PK, a really weird, feeble attempt. And the broadcast, if I'm not mistaken, said, this guy's never taken a PK in his life. What is the scenario where a manager says, you know what? I've never seen you do this, but I trust in you in the biggest stage.
And also, Chris Cody, did you locate the slurp? I need you to know that you are on the hunt right
Chris
now
Cody,
for the slurp. Did you find you found the slurp? Yeah, it's a slurp. It's a slurp.
Yo!
It's a slurp.
I mean, it sounds like Scooby-Doo.
Witty now is like, oh, I remember why I hate going on the show.
There's
you can see it in his eyes.
He is
They are dead.
frozen in shame, and we've probably hurt his career.
I'm really glad this is the most embarrassing thing that's happened to anyone regarding a broadcast in this hour.
Give it a fist bump. Give it a fist bump.
Put it on the poll, Juju.
Sorry,
is this a slurp?
It's an obvious slurp.
This, like I said, this is Scooby-Doo when he's really happy. Oh, Scoob.
I feel worse for Woody than the Kansas State basketball player
Oh,
now.
boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Wittyngham from the height of broadcasting.
I do want an answer to my Curtis Jones question.
He probably takes him in training.
How many slurps did that game get yesterday?
4.5 out of 5 slurps.
No, it's not all the slurps. You said for 3 hours. You said you watched it 100 times. You said you, like, Wittyngham, this was you.
I felt great, man. I felt great until I came on this show.
I had to humble you.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.